if you've got infants in the house, and we define infant as anybody under a year old, and they are choking, it doesn't take a lot for an infant to choke. Their airway is about the size of a straw, and so just about any type of object, if swallowed, can block the airway. And so what we're concerned about in those situations, if there's no air going in or out, that baby's not going to live for very long if we don't do something to get that object out. I'm not talking about partial airway obstruction where they're coughing or choking like that. If they're coughing, if they're crying, if they're making any kind of noise at all, that's good. We don't want to do anything to mess with that, because that means that there's some air that's passing through. If they have a total obstruction, they're not making any sound at all because their airway is completely blocked. And that's the scary situation. That's where we have to really act fast. And if we don't do anything, pretty quickly they'll start to turn colors. They'll become blue or gray, and their eyes will get real big because they don't know what's going on. They just know that they can't breathe and they can't express themselves. And so sit and roll and start to grab, everything becomes a potential hazard. So it's not just food. It can be a penny, it can be a marble or a toy, or we've fished all kinds of things out of babies' mouths that they've put into their mouth. So the definitive treatment for that, it's really important that you remain calm and that you're able to do something. The definitive treatment for that is to give them 5 good solid swats on the back. We call those back blows. And then you give them 5 compressions on the chest in an effort to try to push that object up so that it comes out. And so if our baby's choking, he's laying on the ground, he's thrashing about because he's choking to death, or he can't breathe and he doesn't know what's going on, we pick him up and kind of tuck him in like this so he's nice and secure, because the last thing you want to do is drop your baby while you're trying to save his life. So if you can do this sitting down, you're in a much better position to protect him. But you want to bring him in nice and close, and with the heel of your hand right in between his shoulders, you want to give him 5 really good solid back blows right between the shoulders. Okay, we're not doing this, okay, because this is burping, this is soothing, this is not going to save somebody's life. It's got to be firm. Okay, nobody wants to abuse a child, but remember, we're trying to save his life, and you can't get worse than dead. So 5 really good back blows, and then we turn him over, and with 2 fingers right in the center of the chest, we give 5 compressions. And then we check the mouth. We see if that object's come out. If it hasn't, then we turn him back over. 5 more, and then we do it again. 5 compressions on the chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do that, and hopefully by doing those repeatedly, that object will come out, and then he'll start to cry, he'll start to breathe, and then you'll start to breathe again. So, did you have a question?
Does that same procedure go for toddlers, or is a toddler like 2-year-old considered an infant?
So by definition, infant is under a year old, at least for the American Heart Association standard. As soon as they get above a year, and especially as soon as they start walking and their bodies get a little bit bigger, it's really hard to pick them up and put them over your arm to do this. Even between 8 and 10 months, it gets really hard. I did this with my daughter when she was 8 months old, and she wasn't having any of it at all. But she was a lot heavier than the mannequin and really hard to hold if that had to happen. So as soon as they get over a year, you can do the Heimlich maneuver, which is what they do for adults, where you get behind and you do the abdominal thrust. You come behind them and you do the Heimlich. But you have to be careful with kids because their bodies are smaller, so you don't want to put as much force as you would for an adult. So what you really want to do when they're awake is just get behind them with one arm and try to get down at their level and just give them a thrust on the stomach to try to get that object to come out. But with babies in particular, because they're so different and they're not able to really communicate and tell you that they're choking, we have to take this step. It's a little more extreme, a little more aggressive than we do with the kids. So real quick, that's that's what you would do for an airway obstruction for an infant. So, so any other questions before we wrap up? So the Heimlich maneuver, I could go through and demonstrate. Basically for adults, it's just a matter of getting behind them. So, but we don't do the Heimlich for the infants just because their bodies are so small. And if I tried to get behind this guy and do that, I'm probably gonna really do some damage. So that's why we don't do the Heimlich for infants.
Where are you pushing for the Heimlich?
Good question. So if you're doing the Heimlich maneuver and you're coming up behind your choking victim, you make a fist and you find the belly button, or where you think the belly button should be, which is right above the belt line usually. From that spot, you roll your hand up. So make a fist, find the belly button, and then roll it like a quarter turn up so that you're just above the belly button. But that's your starting landmark. And then once you're there, you bring your other hand around, and then that's when you can do the thrusts in and up to try to create that pressure to push that object out. So the belly button's your landmark, and then just a quarter turn above that is where you really want to be pressing. We do offer full classes if you're interested in taking a full CPR class and going through and actually doing all the requirements to get a card. We do that, and I've left information for how to get a hold of us if you're interested in doing that.